Well, hey there folks, and welcome back once again to the Hop House. It's Eddie here, and it's time for another beer review. If you just found us here on YouTube, where have you been? We've been around like 10 months. Give us that thumbs up. Go on, support the channel, help us, like, share, subscribe to this channel. It's the Hop House. We like hoppy beer, we like good house music. We're on the beer side, and we're going more traditional, quintessential British ales today, hence I got my Hobgoblin t-shirt on. So we did the Goliath from Eagle Brewery, which is actually really nice. It was nice, sort of traditional, best bittery type beer. And we're continuing that on with this beer that we're going to review now, which is a classic. It's a classic, it's been around for years, but it's had a takeover and a bit of a rebrand. So do you want to see what we're reviewing? Okay, so this is now from the Eagle Brewery, but I'll still know it as Wells. Wells Brewery, Bedfordshire, Bombardier. Bombardier, it used to sort of be a lot more Union Jack-esque, and it used to be called, you know, classic British bitter, Bombardier with the troops and stuff. Sort of a troopy type beer, similar to Spitfire, obviously got the planes on it. But Bombardier was always very much a traditional British ale. Still says British beer on the top, but now it's been taken over by Marston's a few years ago, and they got rid of the actual Charles Wells sort of logo and they just called it the Eagle Brewery. I think it was always called the Eagle Brewery, but it's now just known as the Eagle Brewery rather than Wells. It just says it's a bottle, a British hopped amber beer coming in at 4.7% ABV. So, and it's a 500 milliliter bottle, and it's got its own website, www.bombardier.co.uk. Now, I've had this before on cask. It's really quite nice on cask, this. I think it's a little bit lighter on the ABV on cask. It might be about 4.5 or maybe just under. But it's 4.7 in a bottle. Ooh, look at the crown. Bottle top. Very nice. Very posh. Yeah, so they rebranded it. They've gotten rid of the Wells, but it is the old Wells, Charles Wells Brewery from Bedford. They also do a gold version. It was called Bombardier Burning Gold. I tried that before on cask. I've never had it in a bottle. I think it's now just called Bombardier Gold. I think I've only had this once before in a bottle, but I've had it quite a few times on cask. It's very nice. But yeah, this is your standard 4 for £6 in a supermarket, available in all the supermarkets. It's a standard classic British beer that's been going around for years, even though it's had a bit of a facelift. Should we get it out into the glass? Got the purity one for this one. I've just swirled it out. We know the purity glass by now. If you've been around the channel for a bit, whoa, there was a lot of CO2 release from that bottle when I opened it. Smoking. Yeah, this hasn't got a widget at the bottom, so the head sometimes disappears very quickly, so it doesn't hold head well. So don't let that put you off when I pour this in. I will try and get a head going on it. It's very amber, it's very traditional. There we go. Quite hissy and fizzy. Still a little bit left in the bottle actually. It's clear as a day. Clear, see-through, pale as in see-through. Traditional best bitter to a T. Bombardier, classic British beer. Amber, chestnut, mahogany, whatever you want to call it. It's your traditional best bitter colour. It's got a slightly off-white, more creamy style head. And that is your beer in the glass. Looks nice, looks okay, looks pretty doody to be honest. Get the last drops in there. The head is sort of disappearing quickly, but it tends to do that in this glass. It's not great at keeping head. Right, yeah, looks the part, looks nice. Looks like a traditional best bitter, which I'm sort of enjoying and going back to them styles and enjoying them a bit. Right, should we get the nose in there? I think we should. That time of the video now, if you're new, we put that in there and we give it a whiff. See what we can sniff. Very traditional. Bready, malty, not salty malty though. There's a bit of sweetness there. Bready malt, a bit of peppery spiciness, and this sort of hedgy smelling that you get from British hops. So hedgerow, thorny, nettly, bush type smell. If you're walking down a path in the woods and you smell a lot of, trees and bushes and brambles and things like that. It's a bit like what this smells like. It smells like I'd expect a best bitter to smell. It's got that little sweet bit as well. Bready, but a bit of sweetness in there, and then this brambly, bushy, outdoory smell. Right, give it a taste. Bottoms up down the hatch. Oh yeah. That's got more going on than the Goliath that we just did. It's got a lot more going on. That's really tasty. That, to say it's a big beer that's made by a big brewery en masse, that's traditional as hell. And it's, you know what, it's nice to have something like this instead of your pulling your tongue out bitter, grapefruit, new worldy type stuff. It's nice to go back to basics. I'm having a bit of a resurgence and love of best bitters at the minute, and I think they're going to make a comeback. Right, lace division time for those that love the lacing. This is the bit where we swirl the beer around in the glass, see how it looks, see how it holds its head. Even in this glass, it's looking quite good, to be fair. And then we do this, see if it clings to the side of the glass. And this camera never picks it up, but I like doing that because I call it a magic act. So when you swirl it round slowly like that, like my hand's doing, don't know what it's doing. What are you doing, hand? Hey? But yeah, when you swirl it around like that, what happens is where the bottom of the head is, bubbles rise up as it swirls round, and it looks a bit like a magic trick. So I think it's dead clever. I rate like it. I don't get out much. Well, it's really, now I've jigged it about a bit, jig and re-whiff. Really getting that spicy hedgerow. It's almost like, excuse me, someone stuck a load of, clipped some bushes, and there might be some brambles in there, some thorns or stinging nettles or dock leaves. They put it into a bowl and they've cracked some pepper over the top of it. And that's how this smells, which may not sound that appealing actually the way I've described it, but it's really quite a nice smell. It's reminds me of being in the countryside. Taste wise, a bit thicker body than the Goliath. The Goliath was a bit lighter, but it's not as strong. This is 4.7. So it's got a nice medium mouthfeel. It's a bit fizzy as it goes down the side of your mouth. Got little bits of sweetness down the middle of the tongue. Only little bits. This is a more tarty, fruity beer. You're getting... The aftertaste is that peppery and the stinging nettle. Not that I've ever tasted any brambles or stinging nettles, but you imagine what they're going to taste like from the smell, and it follows through. You've got this sort of marmalade-y, like tart marmalade aftertaste down the sides of the tongue, and it's still there now actually. It's sort of staying, but it's staying in the sides of your mouth rather at the back end. And you've also got, what was the other flavour I was picking up? Standby. No, that sort of sums it up actually. I thought I was picking up another flavour there, but it's just me losing my marbles. Really nice beer. It's really quite tasty. For something that's produced en masse by a macro brewery or a major brewery, big regional brewery, big Marstons, Carlsberg Marstons, that is decent. Now, is it made where it's made anymore? I don't work for Marstons. I'm not an expert. I don't work in the industry. I don't brew my own beer. These videos are purely opinion pieces on whether or not I like a certain beer, and I'll give it my judgment. And then it's up to you guys, right? But this is made by Marstons, or a company owned by Marstons. From what I've heard, all their bottled stuff is made up at Burton-on-Trent at the original Marstons brewery. They use the Burton water and so on and so forth. The cask stuff is supposed to be done at the Banks's Brewery in Wolverhampton. But then I've heard that Witchwood still makes their cask stuff down in Witney in Oxfordshire. And the Eagle Brewery is a huge site. It's a big site at Bedford. So this might be bottled at Bedford. The cask stuff might be made at Bedford. I don't know. But anyway, that's originally where the brewery's from, Bedford. We'll read on the back our description of the beer, and then I'll give it my rating. So, Bombardier, British hopped amber beer. Bombardier is brewed using the finest British hops and fresh mineral water from the Eagle Brewery well. A fruity aroma and rich malty taste provides a crisp, mouth-watering beer. Bombardier is a beer for those who embrace their independent spirit and march to the beat of their own drum. Bombardier.co.uk. Bombardier.beer on Facebook and at Bombardier_beer on Twitter if you happen to use those platforms. It says produced by Carlsberg Marston's brewing company, the Eagle Brewery, Bedford. And it's also brewed or exported to Carlsberg Marston's brewery company in Milan, Italy. So maybe they brew it under contract there, I'm not too sure. 4.7%. So yes, it's stronger than your traditional best bitters that are about 3.8, 3.7. So this is probably going to be what they call an ESB, an extra special bitter, you know, the bitter that's a bit stronger. Oh, it's really nice. I never thought I'd be that amazed by something that's more traditional. It's not boring though. Let me get this out of the way. It's not boring. So when I had, because I had a few comments made about my videos on the Green King, the Abbott. I did the Abbott versus the Abbott Reserve. I did the Abbott, and then I also did the Green King Old Speckled Hen. And I was like, oh no, it's boring. It's salty malty. It's not my cup of tea. Again, it's all opinion based, right? So don't take anything I say seriously. So I didn't know what to expect from this because I've not had it. I've only had it in a bottle once, and it was under the old branding, and I've had it on cask a number of times, but not since it's been rebranded and sort of Marston's have put their toll on it. I had it under Wells Bombardier. It's a great extra strength special bitter. It's lovely. It's tart, it's British hoppy, it's bitter. Tiny little bit of sweetness that runs through the middle of the tongue, but it doesn't stay there for long. So if you're not really a sweet beer person, then you probably like this. This, I can imagine my granddad loving this because he grew up on Tetley's bitter, as did I, and then John Smith's cask when it was good, and Barnsley bitter. He liked to pint of Barnsley bitter as well. I should imagine, you know, if he was still alive today, I'd buy him a bottle of that, and he'd probably only have a couple because it's stronger than your normal best bitter. But he'd be like, oh yeah, cheers lad, I really like that. So that's to you, Grandad. Cheers. Well, thank you very much for watching. Rating wise, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Do you know what? I gave the Goliath 2 thumbs up, so I'm going to give that 2 thumbs up. I'd quite happily buy that again. Maybe it's just where I am at the moment in my beer styles, that I've had that much really American hop forward stuff that going back to this style is really a nice refreshing change. But been around a long time and traditional it is. Boring old man beer, it is not. Bombardier, the Eagle Brewery. It's available almost everywhere in your 4 for £6. Every now and again it might even be on offer. So why not pick up some? Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you again for another beer review right here on the Hop House. Ciao for now, people.